What is up, everybody? What is up? It is the new podcast, The Rewold. We're kind of back to the podcast, Warship Weekly, the weekly podcast on World of Warships. We're back, boys. It's been a hiatus. My name is Josh.
And I'm Nicodemus81.
Welcome back, Nico. It's good to have you back, man.
It's good to be back. Don't buy a house. That's the only advice I have.
I already bought a house, man. It's already done and over with.
Nice.
Now I just
Well,
don't have a fridge that, well, it works, just no water goes, or no ice. So, just cold things, but no ice.
the ice
Ownership.
is clutch, so.
There you go. Just don't live close to a river, right?
Exactly, yeah. I'm finding out.
Yeah. Well, good. Well, good. Well, let's get on to the topic. World of Warships, of course, what this podcast is based around. And how have you been? You took a pseudo hiatus from the game because of the housing situation, basically. And now you're back to playing. How have you liked it? Has the game welcomed you back with open arms?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, the game's always fun to play, obviously. I was a little bit rusty. The cruiser play, being that it's so subtle, was probably the hardest to get back into shape with, and remembering not to give any broadside to battleships ever. But
But hey,
otherwise,
battleships
yeah,
are
it's
weak.
Yeah, right. Yeah, battleships need a nerf. Need less nerfs, guys.
There you
Just
go.
this just in. So, but no, definitely having a ton of fun. Trying to kind of plan my long-term strategy a little bit. Came back, respec a few ships, which I'll talk about in a little bit. It's been fun. You know, obviously being in your chat more often and watching what you're doing and seeing the changes from the 5.5 and 5.6 patch as well, which we'll also talk about. So.
I feel like, we're going to talk about 5.6 in a bit. And I feel like my game has definitely gotten a lot better just over time. I mean, I don't know. I feel like my damage is going up, and of course, you're just gonna get that over playing more games. But recently, man, like I just feel like my win rate is really high right now. Like just day in and day out. Of course, you get like the one, shitty game, but like just last night, I think we went like 16-1 or something like that. And the day before, we went like 21-3, and it was like games are going. I don't know if I'm just clicking or what, but I'm just having a lot of fun recently in the game. A lot of the patch notes, a lot of the patch stuff, I think has been a lot of fun. But I don't know, man. There was a down point probably about a month ago, maybe a month and a half ago, where I was playing really bad. And just recently, man, I think things are clicking. I'm having a lot of fun, and I don't know. I think the game's in a good spot right now. There's some imbalances still with certain ships and classes and strengths and weaknesses, but all in all, I think the game's going well. When I'm playing destroyers, I feel like they're strong. When I'm playing cruisers, I think they're strong. When I'm playing battleships, I think they're strong. And I play so limited aircraft carriers. I mean, but when I play them, I still enjoy playing that. I'm liking the game right now. Um, and I think it's in a I don't know, I think it's in a good spot right now. I'm really enjoying it.
Yeah, I would agree. The game's just a blast to play. It feels more balanced than ever. Depending on who you talk to, obviously you're going to get different answers on that. But overall, I think CVs are in a good place. They've got them finally to a point where they don't just dominate the game. The higher up the tiers you go,
Just nobody's playing
destroyers.
them right now. That's the only downside. Well, lower tiers. I think in higher tiers, I think there's still a low population, but I think people get kind of annoyed at them. I think like that tier 6, 7, 8 kind of situation where AA kind of kicks in and starts to really hurt. But there's there, especially in low tiers like 5, 6, 5, 6, 7, especially with the Saipan. I've been seeing a lot of carrier play. People are saying carriers are dead. I don't quite agree. I mean, I didn't mean to off track you, but I think high tiers are still not too many, but like low tiers, man, I think it's healthy right now. I guess I just kind of contradicted myself, didn't I? I said there's nobody playing them, and I was like, oh, there's a lot of people playing them. Yeah, all right. I'm just
Yeah,
gonna let you go back to what you were saying.
no, it's all good. So, realistically, in my mind, I think the days of carriers just absolutely dominating a match and just completely dunking on people are pretty much done. I think their role has shifted, and the people that enjoyed them because they liked launching two, three fighter wings worth of torpedoes at a boat and watching it insta sink are pretty much over. That's much tougher to
Oh
do.
shucks.
Team strategies seem to have improved. People seem to stay together a lot better overall, right? And objectives are taken with more team based play. And just the general play style, I think, has shifted to a point where the CV role has become more of a cover and support role, a spotting role, let's make sure the destroyers have to play way back kind of thing. And if you're running them in that way, they could still be very effective. They're just not, the damage output just isn't the same as it used to be, I don't think. And for some, that's going to be frustrating, and it's probably going to be a turnoff, and they're not going to want to play the class anymore. But that's more indicative of their play style than it is an issue with the class.
Yeah, I think the rebalance of CVs has been like good. Um, the days of the 1-2-2 midway with the midway marching right up to a Montana and just absolutely deleting them. Like First Blood, Yamato or Montana, completely gone. Oh, that was fun. And you'll never see that midway or hack or whatever for the rest of the game. And it's just like, okay, this guy's just gonna drop on me. I can't do anything. My A is like shooting down planes, but only when they're leaving, because they're so freaking fast. Uh, there's a reason why I think those days are over, is because they had to rebalance them, and still, when people say like CVs are so, that's one thing that's like really gets me. I try to be a very balanced player. Obviously, CVs are my my weakest, my least played, but I played them enough to have somewhat of a reason, somewhat. And it's like me and my skill level, I can still command a game. Maybe not command. I can still have a very large impact. I still think carriers have the biggest impact on the game of any class. Uh, it, Not only can a CV still control another CV, not only can a CV just absolutely annihilate destroyers, which I love doing. I'm up at tier 7 on the Japanese Lexington tier 8. But it's like I tend to play a lot of like 4, 5, 6s with viewers, and you just delete destroyers all the time. The destroyers can't do anything, You can only swing your ass so much before you're going to end up taking torps. And I don't know. When somebody says my class is weak, it's because they just don't play the other side, you know? But I'm a battleship. Fires are bad. We'll play cruisers then. Let us know how AP feels. I'm a destroyer. Radar's bad. Well, play a battleship. See how torpedoes feel. Well,
Yeah.
AA's so crappy, and I can't do anything with my carrier. Well then play a class that gets annihilated. Play a destroyer that just gets annihilated by aircraft. Can't do anything. It's people who are so set on one class that really just only look at their side, their point of view, and don't get a very well-rounded look at the game. I think that's a problem with a lot of people currently, and it's the grass isn't always greener on the other side. It's like that. I guess I just it kind of just annoys me a little bit when you hear people talk about that kind of stuff. And play the other side. Let us know. play cruisers for a day if you're playing battleships and you hate them. Play cruisers or play battleships when you're hating on DDs, or DDs aren't strong enough, kind of thing.
Yeah, I think what you're looking to summarize what you're saying is it's a lack of perspective, right? It's they're not playing enough of a variety of classes to see the weaknesses and the strong points and understand that each ship essentially has a counter
Yeah.
built into the game. The game's built like a paper rock scissors for a reason, because if it didn't have that, then it wouldn't be fun to play.
Yep.
So, and those times when you get frustrated because maybe you played a few BB games and those destroyers are just taking you down with torpedoes that you can't really dodge, you switch to a cruiser and go have some fun because people seem to be running destroyer heavy tonight. If you don't have that mindset and you don't have enough of a broad experience in the game to do that, the game's going to be frustrating at times. And then you're also vulnerable to patches and changes in gameplay based on certain things that may be considered OP, which brings in another point that there's a certain subclass or subsect of the player base that also is they're OP chasers. They chase the ships that consistently do the best. When the Yamato was OP, you had guys that only rolled the Yamato, and before that, they were rolling the Midway. And it's like they beelined it straight up that line to that class of ship so that they could essentially have a one-up on everybody else that wasn't running that. And then when the game devs come in and say, well, okay, this ship is clearly outperforming every other ship in its tier, we have to change some things to make it more balanced so that other ships have a chance, then they start crying and getting upset about it. Well, is that they're not playing the game in the spirit in which it was intended, right? And the changes to the way the game is playing is a result of that. So yeah, so I definitely tend to agree with you. I think it's just a lack of having that perspective and understanding of what makes the game tick.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, I think that's always been a certain thing, and I guess it's just something I guess I'm more aware of. I honestly just don't care because most of the time people who are, they say one thing and it's just like, okay, you're, it's so one sided that you just don't really take it and you just don't really end up caring. Really, I guess that's in the short. But um, we could talk about this kind of stuff all day. It is what it is. But
It's true.
what have you been playing recently? Me, I've gotten almost all the tier 10s now, besides the carriers and the Moskva. I'm not really even grinding the Russian cruiser line. I'm playing the Chappie every once in a while. I'm playing, I'm loving right now because quote unquote ranked is coming up supposedly soon. TM and playing a lot of ships to get ready for that. But I'm just playing. It's really nice to just kind of play whatever I want, and I'm loving the North Cal right now with its changes. I'm loving. We can kind of jump right into the 5.6, the recent patch. There's just
Yeah.
a lot of ships that I'm just loving playing right now. North Cal. If you guys don't know, I'll put a link. I made a quick video from the PTR. Nothing really changed since then, of all the changes for 5.6. In the gist of it, basically, ship-wise, the North Cal, the Iowa, and the Montana. The Iowa and the Montana got speed buffs. The Iowa goes 33 knots now. It's very fast. It's faster than some cruisers. And the Montana got buffed to 30 knots. They got AA increases. They're very good. I don't think they quite needed that, but they gave them to them. The main thing is, though, Tier 8, Tier 9, and Tier 10 on the USN line got dispersion buffs. So the North Carolina, which was very rage-inducing, if you will, on its dispersion, very, very large area, it was all over the place, is now a bit better, and it's a monster right now. Having a lot of fun playing it. Very accurate. I would almost say almost closed beta level, but not quite. I think closed beta, it's been so long now, but closed beta just felt even more accurate. But I'm having really good games with North Carolina. The Iowa's a lot of fun. Montana's always been fun, in my opinion. Japanese line, some of theirs got better AA. Hipper got a Sea Hall that Biddy wants us to talk about, but Sea Hall, I think, got some better AA. Same with like the Nuremberg. Sea Hall apparently got messed up a little bit, so that's going to get changed in this next little patch. There's been some good changes, and then of course there's visuals like the mini map changes of detection range, firing range, all that kind of stuff. That's really cool. Last seen, and then the main thing is if you can shoot over like a mountain or not, and that'll give you an alert if you're going to hit the mountain, because sometimes you'd shoot and it would get caught on the mountain, and that was always the worst. Now it lets you know. And then the post screen, which I think is actually the biggest, gives you a good breakdown on what damage you did, who you did it to, how many credits you made. Really, really cool stuff. Like I said, I'll add a video on it that goes more in depth about it down below. But this patch I think was really good. I like it a lot. They added some new maps as well. And with this recent patch, I'm loving a lot of classes. I've fallen in love with the Kebab, the Tier 10 Russian destroyer. That thing is an absolute monster in the right hands. Yamato, people are saying it's weak since the health boost was nerfed, the heal was nerfed. I'm still loving that. NorCal, still loving. I'm working on the Low Yang La Buis right now, getting ready for the Buis getting ready for ranked, and that's just a good variety of ships, man. And now the Indianapolis is out too. Haven't played it yet, but that's out. Playing some Warspite. I mean, just a lot. I'm having a lot of fun with the game right now with a really good variety of ships.
Yeah, and that's the way the game's meant to be played in my mind. I would just second what you said. I think the game post-game credit screen and information screen is fantastic. I mean, it's just there's no more obfuscation, right? The days of obfuscating how much Captain XP you're earning, what your bonuses are, where those bonuses are coming from, why you're getting the credits you're getting, and why you got docked the credits you got docked, as well as damage information on individual ships and what damage types. It's just great. It's a stat junkie's dream, right? I mean, there's all this information out there, and you know exactly where you stand at the end of the match.
I think it was a really good. I labeled it as a quality of life. Set aside some of the changes to mainly the USN battleships. I really don't think they needed the AA change. But other than that, like, it was a good quality of life, just making your time playing the game better. Oh, and of course they show your damage at the end of the game too, which I think is awesome. That part was really cool. Instead of a lot of stuff from Aslanes that I liked, I was like, man, I wish this was in the game. A lot of that shit is in the game now, so I would say quality of life has been increased in World of Warships.
Yeah, no, agreed completely.
Well, good, well, good. And Nika, you have missed almost all of it, basically. I don't do. Was I streaming the Supremacy League kind of, or was that kind of before you took off?
Yeah, so the few
I
weeks
guess you
that I
missed
was
most of it, yeah.
out, right? Yeah, but I did happen to catch some of your streams where you were doing some Supremacy League stuff. I don't even have that much information on what it is, so I'm actually looking forward to hearing you talk more about exactly what this it sounds like some form of tournament is. So why don't you go ahead and elaborate?
We got Supremacy League. They're now in their second season, and it's really cool. It's um, community driven kind of esport level, in the works, I guess. But a competitive World of Warships league, and it's the first really of its kind on the North American server. I don't know about the other servers. There could obviously be some, but I had heard about it. I didn't really know much about it. Uh, and somebody said, "Hey, do you want to start streaming it?" So every Saturday now we stream 2 sets of games, and it's been really cool. It's a 9v9, tier 8, tier 8 only, and there's like a max of 3 premiums per. You can have any kind of setup you want. I think a max of 4 battleships. You can even roll like no carrier or anything. Max of 1 carrier. And it's a really fun, high skill. I mean, some of the best players on the North American server are playing this. There's a lot of guys from LP, Kantai Fleet, Fog. I mean, there's a lot of really, really, really good players that are playing this in this league, and it's been really cool. We cast that every Saturday now, and it's been a lot of fun. And it kind of, and I'll put a link down below to their website. It's a 9-week regular season and like a 5-week playoff season, I believe. So I think we're going to be into like week 7 or 8 coming up. So it's getting there. So it's getting kind of down to crunch time for the team. So it's been cool to kind of see these teams kind of with the rematches and stuff too. I think we broadcasted 3 weeks so far. So we kind of got into it a little bit late, but it's been really fun, and they're looking to grow for next week. So if anybody out there knows you and 8 other friends who all have tier 8s can easily make a team. They're looking to make at least another division and possibly even go over to the EU server. So if you guys are interested in competing at a very high level, basically the best on North America that have actually come out. Right now it's just for bragging rights, but they're working on prizes, actually trying to work with Wargaming. I'll put a link down below. It's a really cool site. Be sure to check it out, or even check out the cast on every Saturday on my stream, which will also have a link down below. But yeah, it's been really cool, man. It's been really cool, and it really opens up your eyes to the potential of World of Warships going esport, man.
Nice, yeah, and to be clear, you're actually acting as a caster, right? You don't
Yep.
actually have an active team.
People have asked like, "Hey, are you on the team? Are you gonna?" I've been asked. I've been invited to teams. I I'm competitive in this game. I'm not competitive at that high level. I went to college for broadcasting. I would love to be the caster, and I'm having a lot of fun doing that. I love playing high level. I love tough games. I love playing against good players, but that high of level, that just doesn't quite attract me, I guess. They can have their fun. I would much rather be the guy who casts it. It's to me, the casting part is what I'm really having fun, and I'm hoping everyone is liking it. Apparently, huge in chat for is becoming a thing, but it's I think everyone is liking it. We've been getting really good crowds for basically me and Supremacy League. Only advertising it. We've been getting some pretty good crowds on Saturdays to just watch the games. It's really fun.
Well, yeah, that's awesome, man. I'm glad to hear that you're kind of finding your niche,
Yeah.
your niche, as you would,
There we go.
as the casual wargamer slash commentator. That's great.
I'll take it.
So I know obviously we just got done talking balance and in the game from a casual perspective, right? As far as everyday gameplay goes,
Mhm.
and just in the normal course of random games, how are you seeing any differences or issues with balance in terms of from an esports perspective, where things stakes are raised a little bit? There might even be some potential prize earnings on the line. Is there any particular issues with balance in the game with regard to esports that you think may or may not need to be addressed by wargaming at some point if they are to be a true competitor in that scene?
Well, one thing is like to make it esport. World of Tanks is I would say, a successful esport. It's very big in Russia, Europe. Not, I think it's getting bigger. You know, esports are getting bigger in general in North America. I think we're kind of behind the curve of a lot of countries. You know, we're not quite the South Korea, Japan. You know, where they'll sell out coliseums, but you know, we're definitely growing in North America. So this is like a North America audience for like a quote unquote North America esport, and because of course we're just hosting the North American team, so of course there's going to be people who like playing it from the EU server, but these are only people from North America. So to do it though, World of Tanks is very quick. The average game can last 5-6 minutes. It's a lot quicker. An average game in World of Warships is going to last around 15 minutes. So with that, you know, a battleship only does something exciting every 25 to 30 seconds. Other stuff that you got to take kind of time to get into, you know, it's just a slower paced game. There's nothing wrong with that. But for me, one, it's a lot about the broadcaster. You know, I have no dead air. I hate dead air. I try to find good situations to kind of keep the audience intrigued in what's going on. And one thing is, I think there needs to be certain maps, like you get into high tier World of Warship maps, and they're very large. Some are like Shatter. You see like Shatter. There's a couple of ones I just can't think off the top of my head. You could literally take 1 to possibly even 2 rows of water, just empty map on each side, and just shrink the map. Because what's fun? The low tier maps. Why? Because it's instant clusterfuck PvP. And you know, of course, you get into high tiers, and of course, you're a cruiser, and you're like, oh shit, you know, I'm seen right away. Or like even on straight, you're like, I'm a Fuso, I'm spotted like 2 seconds into this game. Yeah, that can be a little, but I mean, you get high tiers, you get lower detectability because a lot of people are in stealth and everything. Smaller maps, or even just keep the current maps, but just shrink them. Detonation has to go, and really the game will just take care of itself. It just needs to be quicker action, and you know, like quicker action, and I'm trying to think of the word. Just it just needs to keep things going. That the in between of, oh, we're not seeing anybody for the first 3-4 minutes. That's got to go. You know, to be a successful esport. You know, things happen quickly in high level. I mean, CS:GO, 30 seconds before action gets hit. World of Tanks, 30 seconds. World of Warships, it's gonna be a while. You know, and one thing too is that it's kind of up to carriers. You know, carriers can spot destroyers, shots can start going out. But really, you know, people are like, oh, there's no way. There's no way World of Warships can kind of be this esport. I really don't think so, man. I mean, people are loving these games that we're casting, and it's fun to play. I even look at the highlights myself, or the rebroadcasts that I put up, and they're fun, man. It's all about how you broadcast it. World of Warships hasn't really done its justice, itself justice in the esport realm for being like the broadcast, because they in the past they've kind of done within, and they've gotten one person that's like a developer or an employee of Wargaming that knows a lot about the game but isn't very good on the microphone, and then they've gotten somebody that's really good on the microphone that doesn't know shit about the game. You know, maybe got like a quick like, oh, so this is a destroyer, has torpedoes. That's about all I know. And you get this other guy who knows a lot about the game, but just won't kind of shut the fuck up and wants to talk about how a torpedo works instead of just saying, you know, here's some action. Let's check this out. Let's do a play-by-play through it. And that's one thing. When the EU did this, EU versus Germany or whatever it was at the was it DreamHack or one of the latest ones where I think like Chrysantos and Islet were there, and they tried. And of course, they said that was last minute, but it's all about how you broadcast it. And you know, I think the potential's there. Is it going to be the next League of Legends? No. Is it going to be the next CS:GO? No. But does an esport have to be that big to be an esport? I don't think so. I think it's gonna have a great niche market, and fuck it, why not? Why not go for it? People are enjoying it.
I would agree. Yeah, I think the world of broadcasting is in a place now where it can be so content specific and still do well and still have its following, right? So I think as long as they kind of have that in mind and keep on that track, and like you said, get some folks, cherry pick some from maybe their gaming community, like yourself and others that
Oh, I'd love
know
to
the
go.
game and also can just do the play by play. I think that's definitely a step in the right direction. I agree with you wholeheartedly on detonation. I've never understood that mechanic or why it's in the game. It's a feels bad mechanic that's just awful. I mean, I just experienced a game the other day where I had a full health Bliskavitza and a guy hit me in the tail end with one shell and I detonated. And I was like, okay, so now I'm out. That's fantastic.
Yep.
Like, and I realize it happened in real life, but this isn't real life. It's a simulation. And it's not even a simulation, it's an arcade completely modified version of naval combat that's designed to be fun. And there's absolutely nothing fun about detonation. So I agree.
And
Before
it
esports can be a serious thing, that aspect definitely has to be toned down or changed somehow.
and in the game's defense, in all the games I've casted, there hasn't been a detonation. But another thing that's also true is potentially, and I don't know, I don't watch too much World of Tanks, and that's the kind of bar we're gonna have to go off of. I don't know how much you get for like a turret being knocked out. A lot of North Carolina is a very popular. It's gonna be much more popular in this style upcoming because of its buffs. But it's a very popular. If a front turret goes out on a NorCal, that's pretty shitty because majority of the time it's kind of the slow pseudo front in, kind of protect your team, lob shots in, and if one of your front turrets gets kind of knocked out, I don't know how that works in World Tanks. I honestly don't know, but I think that's kind of the permanent knockout of a turret or an incapacitation that's out for the entire game. One salvo in North Carolina can be out of its two front guns. One salvo, first salvo of the game, RNG. There you go. I'm fine with RNG. I'm okay with that because you notice that even with RNG, the skill level, people who bitch about RNG aren't really that good. It's you get these guys who they are even at not even a broadside, but kind of a broadside, and get caught by one of the enemy battleships. They get wrecked. RNG is really a crutch for a lot of people to go off of. If a person knows what they're doing, they're gonna hit that, and at least it may not be a deletion, but they're gonna punish that person. We saw that one time where I think it was on North, and an Amagi was pulling. He was sailing kind of straight towards sea. He had to kind of curl up north, and he was at a barely kind of up towards north angle from the south side, and the entire team just absolutely lit him up, absolutely dunked on him. That's something that might not happen in a regular game because people aren't aiming right. But you get these people who know where to aim and know what they're doing. RNG is there, but the oh my god RNG kind of goes out the window because they know where to aim. And 9 times out of 10, they're gonna hit that shot and punish you. And it's really cool to see, actually. It's anything like this. What do? You catch the person out of position and then you punish them. You see that wholeheartedly in the Supremacy League. It's a lot of fun. A lot of fun to kind of see and just go, wow, that's a good shot. I don't know if I could have made that shot myself, kind of situation.
Excellent. Yeah, and I would say too, yeah, like you said, the incapacitation modules, be them torpedo tubes. I have an interesting story about that that'll just relay real quick. I was in my Fletcher the other day and going to cap a cap on one of the new maps that just came out with 5.6, and there's a CV in the game, and he sends this to dive bombers overhead. And I had used my smoke previously, so smoke's on cooldown. So I'm like, oh great, here we go. Dive bombers come in, don't do any damage, don't start any fires, but each consecutive dive bomber of the two that he sent in knocked out my left and right torpedo tubes permanently for the match. So I'm like, okay. So now I get to sit here in this Fletcher that's nothing but a pure gunboat, right? And the strongest asset, one of the strongest assets of my destroyer, is permanently knocked out from the game. And I'm going, well, that just sucks, So I agree with you on that front too. I think some maybe some more tuning. I know Wargaming has been working on it. You've seen patch notes reflecting that they've tried to make changes to make this stuff less prevalent. and less of an issue in matches and stuff. But hopefully they can get it to a good place where maybe you get incapacitated modules for a span of time, but it's not, you can't ever have them permanently knocked out, because again, it's, we're talking about feels bad mechanics here that don't improve the gameplay for the majority of players that experience this stuff, or everyone that experiences it. So, but yeah, I'm thrilled to hear that there's some high level play out there. I mean, that's the best way to learn, is to watch people that play this game that are better than yourself. I mean, I cut my teeth watching your stream and others that had far more games in than I did. So to have yet another outlet for that is fantastic, and I really look forward to seeing what Supremacy League does in the weeks and months ahead. So
every Saturday night we stream it. I think it's like 9 p.m. EST. So if you guys haven't, be sure to check it out. Link down below for the stream. So speaking of kind of the high level competitive play, the now in-game quote unquote competitive play is coming back, and that's the rank season. And there has been some data mine stuff. And if you remember last year, the lower tier, I think it was from what, 25 to 11 was tier 5 and 6. No. Yeah, tier 5 and 6. And then wait, was it 5 and 6? I think it was 5 and 6. And then tier 10 and under, 10 to 1 was 7 and 8. Now, from the sounds of it, this new season, and it has not been verified, it's just been, I guess, data mined. Unless by now Wargaming has, I just don't know it. Looks like this next season is going to be 5 and 6 from 25 or whatever people start at now, like 22 to 11. And then from 10 and under, it'll be 6 and 7. So there's that overlapping tier. I don't know why they changed it. I thought 8 is a fantastic tier. If I can queue one tier the entire night, it's going to be 8. I love 8 queues. There's so many good ships. It's so much fun, and I had a lot of fun playing it. Now with the 7, it's like, what the fuck are you gonna play? You know, there's some pretty good ships at tier 7, but I just don't know what's gonna be good. And one of the biggest changes, though, and we can kind of get into the ships we're gonna talk about in a little bit, but one thing they changed is like, is an amazing thing. It's a gift from Wargaming God that apparently the number 1 person on the losing team no longer loses a star.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Oh my god.
And again, this is not official. It didn't make it into their official patch notes, but the data mine patch notes did show that the player at the top of the losing side is going to retain their star. They won't gain a star, but they're not going to lose their star that you'd normally lose for losing a match. So potential to cut down the volume of games it takes to get to rank 1 is extreme, and I'm so happy for that, because I can't tell you how many games where in my destroyer making caps, get a ship sunk or 2, and I'm at the top of the leaderboard, but everybody else just melted, and It's like, great, you know, fantastic. So now that issue's alleviated. I'm super stoked about it. Little bit awkward though that, like you said, they're reducing the ranks down a tier for the lower tier matches from 10 to 1 back to 7. Is like such an awkward tier in so many ways. Although when 7s are taking on 7s, I guess all the ships are awkward, maybe, so maybe it cancels itself out. I don't know. Yeah, like you said, we're going to get into some of the ships that we would recommend for this coming season, of ranked, and go from there. So
I think.
So with that,
oh, sorry.
No, I was gonna say, with that in mind, why don't you just jump right into it, Josh? So let us know what kind of ships you're thinking about. Some of the, I know you've been actually doing some stealth gameplay to get some of your ships ready. And
man, it hasn't been stealth, man. My stream has been full of Błyskawice games, man. All day, all night. Level 14 captain, give me level 15, hopefully soon. Okay, battleships. I think you can't go wrong with either battleship. Colorado and Nagato, both amazing. I think they both do very good. It's interesting now that they kind of went away from the Tirpitz. You know, there was 3 battleships before, now there's only 2 for tier 7 at least. Of course, you can pull up a Warspite, you can pull up a Fuso, whatever you want to do. But we'll just talk about kind of max tier for the highest level ranks. Both battleships going to both do, I think, very well. Honestly, I've been playing it more and more. I think the Colorado might be better. I think it is. I think it's more accurate, more consistent. Not as far as range, but I'm liking the Colorado. Honestly, am. Now, cruisers, Miyoko is going to be strong. It's going to be very strong. It's going to be the Mogami, you know, the Mogami strength. That's going to be strong. The Shores, the Russian cruiser. I don't think we'll see too many Pensacola's. I'm sorry, Pensacola, but I think we'll see some. I think we might see some Indianapolis's. The new premium ship. I think that'll do pretty well. It's a pseudo Pensacola, but I think they've changed some stuff, some armor on it, and I think that'll be there. Um, doubt we'll see too many Atlantas. I mean, we might. Uh, Probably not. I mean, not too far at least. I'm trying to think if I'm missing really any other cruisers. The York, maybe some Yorks. I don't know. Maybe they
How about
buffed
the
it.
how about the Shores? What do you think the Shores has a chance?
Oh yeah. Shores. I think Shores is probably the if not the best, probably the second best behind the Miyoko. Miyoko just hits so hard. You know, it's got that Japanese HE damage plus HE fires. Destroyers, I think, are gonna be pretty competitive. You know, we have the Hatsuharu is gonna be there. It's gonna be there just like the Fubuki was. I think the Hatsuharu will be there, but I don't think it's gonna be competitive. I think you're still gonna see gunboats. I mean, even in the Supremacy League, uh, there aren't really that many Japanese destroyers. It's just that high. You only have. I mean, of course, they have their guns. I know Japanese guns aren't bad. I always get hate for it, but you are so reliant on that line to do damage to your torpedoes, and you just can't count on your torpedoes to do the damage all the time. You know, you just can't. You have to hope people fuck up to do damage pseudo. You know. Uh, so gunboats, you know, I think there's gonna be a lot of Mahans. I think Mahans will probably be the new Benson for people who have it. And actually, another point of the 5.6 is they added a lot of premiums back to the tree. You can actually buy them with doubloons. I think we're gonna see a lot of Błyskowicas, a lot of the Polish destroyer. Kievs, I don't think will be too prevalent unless somebody has a really high level captain, but they just get detected too easy. Maybe some Sims. The old premium destroyers for those who have them might see one of those every once in a while, and really miss anything else. I think it's gonna be mainly Bwiss and Mahan kind of controlling that, but it'll be interesting. And of course, you know, Saipan, Ranger, hear you. I think there'll be a lot of Hears, a lot of Saipans. Rangers, maybe, maybe Fighter, maybe Strike if they're greedy, but I'd probably see a lot more, actually a lot more carriers this season. I bet, but there's a lot of good ships. I just don't know. I think this is going to be an awkward season because people are going to be like, okay, you know, I'm so used to eights. We've had that for 2 seasons now. Now what the hell do I play? There's going to be a lot of figuring out what's really good. For me, I'm rolling Bliss. That's going to be my ship from day one till rank 1, assuming I get it. That'll be my ship. I think it's going to be really good with 15-point captain.
So you're planning on living in the destroyer meta pretty heavy.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. For me, I would consider myself a cruiser player. But at that league, I don't trust people to cap for me, so I have to do it myself. So I'm going to do it.
Fair statement. Yeah, and I also am lucky enough to have the Błyskawica. It's one that's definitely on the short list for boats I'll be running along with the Mahan. Like we've always said and been saying since day one, it's the gunboat destroyer capping meta in ranked. It's the way it is, and unfortunately, I think for the Sims, I think the torpedoes just aren't versatile enough.
Not fast enough.
Right. The same way that the IJN destroyers suffer from lack of gun versatility, the Sims kind of suffers from torpedoes being a little bit subpar. So I think those that will run it are those that are running it because they might not have a better option realistically. And it's going to be their best destroyer. I agree with you. I'm thinking Shores and Mogami for cruisers.
Miyoko.
Maybe Miyoko, excuse me. Maybe some German cruisers mixed in because of the high alpha damage on battleship superstructures. Um, carriers are my weak link in this game. So I'll trust your judgment on that. I would assume we'd see some of the premium CV out there just because hey, it's premium. You can grind extra credits and whatnot, and grind up some captains while you're pushing some of the higher ranks and lower tier ranks and getting those rewards. So. As far as battleships go, it's pretty much 6 to 1, a half dozen to the other. I've fallen in love recently. I'll state this, unrelated to the rank discussion, but kind of related, with the US BB line. I mean, those ships tank like crazy, like so much better than the IGN line. So when push comes to shove, if you know how to angle correctly and you know how to hit broadsides well and get citadels and or do just raw alpha damage on angled targets, those ships are just going to win hands down against.
Oh, they're really good. Really good.
battleship of an equal tier. And I think the Tirpitz, like you said, being pushed out of the match because they're a tier 8 and they're no longer viable for ranked introduces an interesting dynamic. I think the tier
Maybe the
7
Arizona.
battleships, right? Yeah, I think the tier 7 battleships, though, much more even than the tier 8 counterparts. So, although now with the NorCal being buffed, that obviously changes things, but the NorCal was obviously, not nearly on the level that the Amagi was. So, nowadays that might have been different. We'll never know because they're obviously, from the sound of it, changing how ranked is going to function. So, uh, people of all play styles and play what's the word I'm looking for? Levels of play, skill wise, I highly encourage you to try ranked. It's a lot of fun. The dynamics are way different. The teams are smaller,
I
and
think
it's
they're even
much
giving
more.
like doubloons for rank 1 this season, and there's like potentially a new like if once you get rank 1, you can play more at tier 10 only. So that'll be kind of interesting to see if that actually happens. And apparently, there's gonna be some good rewards that, but we'll find out. I don't know if that's like even official there either. But I heard that the prizes are gonna be a lot better this season.
Right, yeah, and it's a lot less punishing with obviously the changes if those changes end up in the game. A lot easier to climb, so a little bit less frustration. Highly encourage everybody to try it out. It's a different way to play the game, which is always good. It's a lot of fun. You find yourself looking to spec ships differently and play ships that maybe you normally wouldn't play because it might give a strategic advantage and all that stuff. So definitely a good time, and I'm looking forward to it.
There we go. There we go. Well, good. We had on a lot of stuff, but there's still some more to talk about. I mean, we don't want this to be an 8 hour long podcast, but all in all, I think the game is in a good spot right now. I think Nika agrees with me on that, and I'm having fun. I'm excited. Rank's coming back. It's been long awaited. I think there's some upcoming events that are going to be fun as well, and I think the game's in a good spot right now. I'm excited. We'll hopefully get. I think we're getting like this new little patch to fix a couple little things. But other than that, I like it, man. 2 thumbs up right now for World of Warships, for my opinion.
Yeah, no, fun game. It's definitely one that's held my attention for a while. Most games I play for a bit and then usually get bored of. This one has just enough grind while having a high skill cap to do really well, right? So it's got some good things going for it. It's all quality of life and minor gameplay balance issues at this point that they have to address, which is a great place for any game to be. So, yeah, absolutely.
There we go. Well, guys, that is it for us for this week. It's been a long-awaited return of Warships Weekly, the weekly podcast on World of Warships. Hope you guys have enjoyed it. I have been me Josh. You can check out my daily stream on twitch.tv/mejosh and hit me up on Twitter at twitter.com/mejoshtv.
And I am back from the dead, Nicodemus81. You can find me moderating Mijash's chat most nights of the week, as well as at Nicodemus81 on Twitter.
There we go. There we go, bros. So let us know how you guys are liking this recent patch, how your World of Warship games are going, if you like the changes, if you hate the changes, if you agree with us, if you disagree with us. We accept all criticism. Just be nice, Plox. Just kidding, bros. Hope to see you guys out there. Hope your games are going well. Until next time, we will catch you guys later. Adios. Peace.
Night!